Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory video, and today guys we're going to be doing something a little bit different. You see, today I'm going to show you how to make one of these. No, not a random plastic box, a magnetic carry case. So for those of you that don't know, I made one of these a while ago for my bolt action American army, and it's really good way of storing essentially like a whole army in a box, be it a small 40k army or a big bolt action army. So as you can see here, all of my American miniatures are in here, and if I do this, they all stay up, and I can even turn it upside down, and none of the miniatures fall out. And the reason that this is because this is a magnetic carry case. Now, I didn't buy this from some fancy shop somewhere, I actually made it myself. And I just figured this out. There are loads of guides online to make other magnetic carry cases, but this is a way that I worked out how to do it. And the reason I like doing it this way is not only is it good for Warhammer 40k miniatures, but it's also good for lots of other miniatures as well. So I'm going to take you through a little reason why I built the case this way, and then we'll get into what you need to build the case and then how to build it. So the big difference between this carry case that we're going to be building today and the ones that you tend to find online is that today we're going to be using magnetic tape rather than magnetic paper. Now, in case you don't know what magnetic paper is, it's basically a really thin bit of magnetic material. It's almost like a bit of thick printer paper or very thin card, and it's very good because you can cut it up and then you can just slide it onto the bottom of your tray, and it works really well. I won't deny that magnetic paper is a good material, but it has a couple of key drawbacks. The first one is that its magnetic ability is very weak, and that you have to rely upon using magnets that you can buy online from other hobby stores to really seal the deal. And the other problem is sort of linked to that, is that it kind of lends itself to models like Warhammer 40k models. Now, why is that the case? Well, firstly, most Warhammer 40k models are made of lightweight plastic these days. There's very few metal models out there, or I don't think there are any metal models now sold by Games Workshop. And so the problem with the magnetic paper is that it's very weak, and it doesn't really hold any metal models very well at all. And well, other game systems like Bolt Action use a lot of metal models. In fact, this entire army is made up of limited edition American paratrooper metal models. Now, before I put anyone off Bolt Action when they realise they think that it's all metal models, it's not. This is a limited edition army. Most of them are plastic, as you can see from this guy. It's like a little plastic guy. But you will find in Bolt Action that they still use quite a bit of metal. In almost any army, the support teams or the artillery, sometimes even the vehicles are made out of heavy metal and resin bits. You'll find that those are heavier, and I just found that the magnetic paper really wasn't cutting it. Another big reason is that they lend themselves to Warhammer models is Warhammer models tend to come on these big bases with big deep recesses in the bottom, and that's great. You know, you can certainly have enough room on your recess of your base there to be able to stick a magnet on the bottom, and then the magnet goes on the magnetic tray, and that's great. But if you notice with our Bolt Action models, and you find this a lot with other models, other miniature games as well, this doesn't have a recess. It's a flat base. So where are we going to stick the magnet on this? We can't stick a magnet on this. So unless I want to rebase all of my Bolt Action miniatures, or buy a bunch of extra bases for my Bolt Action miniatures, just throw away the ones that they provide me, and then my models look like they're on a different base to everyone else's, and so, you know, it just looks a bit weird when we're playing two Bolt Action armies against each other. Unless I'm willing to do that, I needed to come up with a new system. So that's why I came up with using magnetic tape. Firstly, it is much stronger than magnetic paper. That's what I found in my experience. I could be wrong, I'm not a scientist. All I can tell you is that I found magnetic paper to be really weak, and I found magnetic tape to be quite a bit stronger. Now, it's not super strong. You can't like stick, you know, your hammers and stuff to the walls with it, but you can certainly use it to stick metal miniatures onto the base of the tray. And as you can see, it is strong enough that none of them are going to fall out anytime soon. So if I don't stick magnets onto the bottom of these, how am I getting them so that they are able to stick onto that magnetic tray? This is why I need something a bit stronger than magnetic paper. Well, what I did, guys, and we'll get to all these materials in a second, but I thought I'd just give you the preamble, is I stuck washers, very cheap washers onto the bottom of the models, and as you can see, when they're down flat, you can't see any of the washers. You literally can't see them when they're flat on the table. So, and if you really wanted to, you could, paint them if you want to, but I've literally never been, no one's ever said anything. Most people don't even realise I've got washers on the bottom until I show them. So that way I found it that the magnetic tape was strong enough so that the washers would stick to it, and as you can see, I'll do it again, I'll keep doing it, I can literally turn this all up and down, none of the models are going anywhere. You can stack those upside down, they're going to have a great time. Bear in mind, these are all metal models, so you can imagine it's going to be even stronger when we're using these really lightweight plastic ones that Warlord does as well. So that was the reasoning behind it. I know it's a bit of a long intro, but I just wanted to explain how is this one different and why have I built it this way. Now let's get to the actual building, what you'll need to build one of these magnetic carry cases. So this is everything that you're going to need to build a magnetic carry case. Of course, you're going to need the aforementioned magnetic tape. I got this from Hobbycraft and it cost me about £6 or £7. I'm sure you could get it online, but just so you guys know, I'm quite impatient when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I wanted to build this right away, and I like using local shops and stuff, so I got this from a local Hobbycraft shop and it cost me about £6 or £7, and there's enough tape here to do 2 boxes. Okay, if you're like me and you want to get the most out of your money, I found that the magnetic sheets of paper that I had to buy from Hobbycraft, I needed 2 of them to really do a box. One wasn't enough, and they're £4 each, or I could buy 1 roll of this tape, which let me do at least 1 box if I really wanted to fill it full of magnetic tape, or it let me do 2 if I wanted to space my tape out a little bit more. So I found this to be a bit more cost effective. So one of these for about £7. You'll need a tape measure, and we'll get to why in a moment. You'll need some clippers to cut up the magnetic tape, and you will need some super glue to stick the magnetic tape down onto the bottom of the box. You'll need some washers. Now I got these, I'll just say, I got the super glue from Screwfix. It cost me £3, and it comes with 50 grams. It's really, really, really good. I used to buy like Loctite and stuff like that, which was like a £5 for like 5 grams or something crazy. Now I buy this stuff. It's £3 for 50 grams. It's really good. I've been using this one for about a month. You sometimes have to get a pin to unblock the glue top, but still, it's very, very good, very affordable. You can get all of this pretty much from for all of these other bits from one place like Screwfix. So no non-super glue, £3, really recommend. So the magnetic tape costs about £7, that costs about £3, so we're on a tenner so far. Bear in mind the magnetic tape does 2 of them, so you could really say it's like, £4. And then I got some washers. Now these are again from Screwfix. Got some base, these are the ones I got M8-100s. I found those perfect for my bolt action models, right? And this bag came with 100 washers in it, and again I think it cost me either £3 or £5. It didn't cost me very much at all. So in total, all of the extra bits, to do 1 case, this cost me, it does 2 cases, so if you cut it in half for 1 case, that cost me £4. That cost me £3. They cost me about £3, so we're on about a tenner, and then this box cost me exactly £5. So you can put one of these magnetic carry cases together for the low price of about £15. And like I said, it will store a whole bolt action army in it, or it will store, if you're not playing like Imperial Guard or something, it'll fit most of your Space Marine army in there. It'll definitely fit your Custodians in there. At most you'd need to buy 2 of these, right? If you need to buy 2 of them, super glue you won't need to buy again. The washers, you wouldn't need to buy those for Warhammer models, for example, so you'd be able to get like your magnets for that, or you could use washers if you wanted to. And the box you'd need 2, so I'd say you probably add on like another tenner. So if you needed to do a whole Space Marine army, 2 of these cases would do it, and you're probably looking at about 25 to 30 quid. Still a lot cheaper than buying like a Games Workshop case or anything like that. So this is what you need to build the case. Again, cost effective, affordable. This is how I found, this is the sort of me getting the best bang for buck. I bought all these from local places. Bet if you bought this online, you'd be able to get it for £1 off. Bet you bought this for online, you'd be able to get it cheaper. And I bet if you bought these for online, you'd probably be able to get them cheaper as well. But if in doubt, I found this to be pretty cost effective buying from local places. So that's everything you need. Now let's go through the very simple process of building this thing. So first thing you need to do is take your tape out of the packet, of course, and then what you need to do is measure the inside of your box. Now, just so everyone is clear, this is the 4 litre box, and it's by really useful boxes company, and these are the ones that I'd highly recommend. I know loads of people that use them. Very cost effective, very affordable, and very durable. I've not had any problems with these, and I've been using my original bolt action carry case now for quite a few months, so I highly recommend these ones. And like I said, they're pretty cheap, £5 for this box, not bad at all. Now what you need to do is you need to measure the inside of this box. Now the reason you need to do that is you need to know how long you need to cut your strips of tape into, okay? So what you do is you get your tape measure and you measure on the inside there. Now I've done this before, but I'll just do it anyway. So it comes to about 33 centimeters on this tape measure, or about 13 inches. So if you cut your tape about 32 centimeters or about 11 and a half inches, 12 and a half inches, you'll be absolutely fine. So that's the first step that you do. So the next step is you need to measure your tape to cut it. Now, as we said, we've just done, we know it needs to be about 32 centimeters long, 33 centimeters long. So what you do is you get your tape, measure, you lay it out like that, and then you get your magnetic tape and you lie it down like that. You get it to about the right length there. There you go. And I'm like, right, okay, so I need it about 32. And that's when you get your clippers. Go up to the 32 there, just make sure you're not messing anything up too much. Again, it doesn't need to be totally precise. If anything, weirdly, it's better to be a little short in this case rather than a little long. So we'll go for, that's about 30, that's about 32, oh no, yeah, it's about 33 there. So then you cut your tape there, and then you've got your length of magnetic tape. Now you can see it comes with this little, you see it's different colours on each side. That's the magnetic side, it's both sides magnetic. That side there with the brown, that's actually a bit of self-adhesive tape. That is not strong enough to stick it to the bottom of that box, alright? Trust me, I've tried it, bad results, alright? So that's why we need the super glue. So that comes our next stage. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that we haven't totally buggered it up and that our tape does fit. So you get it in, you slap it in here, and you're like, oh yeah, that's actually a perfect length. Look at that. That's actually a perfect length. It's not going to curl up at the corners or be anything annoying like that, because it starts curling up, it's going to start peeling off. So that's a perfect length. So about 32 centimeters I did that one. That was absolutely perfect. Now then what we're going to do is, before we take the adhesive strip off on the back, we're going to get our super glue. Alright, now I'll be totally honest with you guys, this is the second take. This was gummed up, but I got a little pin, literally a little just normal sewing pin, just stuck it down a couple of times, absolutely fine. Obviously if you have to do that, be careful, don't stab yourself. If you're a kid, make sure you get your parent to help you with it, all that kind of good stuff. Right, but then what you do is you just get your super glue, you pop it down here. Yeah, it doesn't matter too much if it goes on one side or the other too much, because guess what, you're going to be doing more than one strip, aren't you? So you get your super glue down there, rip your adhesive off your tape. So now, as you can see, it's black on both sides, but this side's a bit sticky. I don't know if you can see that, look, a bit sticky, whereas this side it's not. And then you just slam it down. You just got to be careful, obviously, because super glue is going to bind it pretty bloody quickly, but you get it down there, and there you go. That is your first bit down. Just squidge it all the way, go along, squidge it all the way down. There you go, first bit of tape in. And basically, guys, you repeat that step quite a few times, and you keep repeating that step until you've covered the whole bottom of this in magnetic tape. Now, a couple of things to mention. I am a bit of a stickler when it comes to this kind of stuff, so what I like to do is cover the whole bottom of this in magnetic tape, the whole bottom of it. But you could get away with doing like one and then a small gap, and then one and getting a small gap, and one a small gap, and so you could probably use about, save yourself about 25% of the tape or 30% of the tape if you wanted to do that. If you did that, then this would certainly do enough for 2 trays, no problem whatsoever. If you're like me, what you might find is that you use it all up. You might find you might need to do a little of a gappy one on your second tray, but this will definitely do your 2 trays if you're just a little bit conservative with it. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to glue the rest of those down now, and then we'll take a look what it looks like when it's all finished. So I thought I'd just add in a little bit of extra footage, just so you guys know that I'm not lying to you when I tell you that tape can do 2 of these boxes, right? You see, if you can see here, I've cut out, this is not all of the tape, that is enough tape to cover the bottom of that box. And there's a little gap between each one of those strips, and that's absolutely fine if you're gluing down plastic models like this guy or like this guy. You don't need the tray to be totally covered in tape in order to hold down the plastic models. The only reason why I ended up covering the whole of my original bottom of my original tray in magnetic tape is because it was a whole army of metal models, alright? But you clearly don't need that much coverage if you're just doing lightweight plastic models. So I thought I'd just show you. That is about half of the tape down there, and this is the other half of the tape here. And I've measured it and I've counted it. When you cut these things at about 32 to 33 centimeters, guys, each one, you can get 22 from this roll of magnetic tape. Okay, so that's really, really good, because what that means is you can use about 11 for each box, and if you use 11 for each box, then that's fantastic, because it means that you've got enough coverage for 2 boxes there, which is more than enough for any plastic based miniatures game. If you need to glue down lots of metal models, like only if you've got like a pure metal army, then you might need to consider using a few more, but otherwise you'll be absolutely fine with just 11 of those. So just thought I'd show you that there, so you know I wasn't jibbing you or lying to you guys. There you go, proof that I've cut up all the tape, and it takes about 11 of these strips to do one of those boxes. So there we go. So we'll be back once I've glued down these magnetic strips into this box. And voila, there we go. Enough magnetic tape to cover pretty much the whole of the bottom of that, and have enough coverage for models to be able to stick on there nicely. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to get our bolt action miniature here that we've got, and some of our washers. So it's pretty simple, guys. What you do is, we'll just move that out of the way for now. And you get your washers. I've got one that's just fallen out of the case conveniently there. And you just need to glue that onto the bottom of your model here. So let's take a look at how we do that. Now you can either put the super glue on the washer itself, although I do find it tends to slide off. What I have found to be much more effective is just to do a bit of ring of glue on the bottom there. So we'll do that now. Doesn't have to be done. Should just say, I've done this whole thing pretty much, you know, in terms of the spacing there and the glue and everything. Just eyeballed it, guys. Just take your time and eyeball it. You can slap it down. It only took me about 5 minutes. You can be a bit more precise if you want to, but I tend to do things a little bit rough and ready, because at the end of the day, it's just toy soldiers. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, does it? You get that, stick your washer on there, slide it around till you're happy with it, press it down a bit like that, go around. Make sure you don't, you've not got any leaking around the outside, and that should bond pretty much straight away, pretty much instantly. And there you go. And then when you put that down on the tabletop, look, can you see the washer there, guys? No, you cannot. Even if I do a bit of unplanned zooming in and stuff, can you see the washer? No, you can't. That guy's going to happily run around the field of battle, no issue whatsoever. You can't even tell there's a washer underneath there, can you? So there we go. Wasn't planning on doing that, so a little bit off the cuff. Sorry if that was a little rough and ready, but I do like to do things that way. So here's the real test, isn't it, guys? Will this guy stick down on here? Absolutely he will. Does it? There you go. Just realised I said absolutely. It wasn't even looking at the camera. Absolutely. There you go. Look at that. And look, it doesn't need, unlike the metal models, which maybe need full coverage, this guy, he can straddle a couple of strips pretty happily. Look. Or he can go on one strip and have a great time. And look, he's not falling off there, is he, guys? He's not falling off there at all. Look, there we go. Turn it all the way upside down. He's not going to fall off there because he's lightweight plastics. This is what I was talking about. And now you could do 2 of these and you'd have no issue whatsoever. You could get 2 of these and you'd be able to, and that would mean you'd be spending only what, like 50, not even 15 quid. You're spending about £12.50 on each box, as we said, because the super glue you already spend once, the washers do 2 armies, and then the tape does 2 armies. So there you go. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is some people, despite the fact that you can't see the washer, and I totally get that, might really not like the idea of having you guys slightly raised up or anything like that. Totally get it. So I thought I'd bring this fella along to show you, where I actually used the washer as the whole base of this guy. Now, he did have a little mini base that I came on, so it did help, but you could easily put a little bit of tape or green stuff or fill that hole in however you want, glue your guy on top, and that way, look, he has a great time sitting on there, and he's magnetic down, he's having a great time. So that way, if you don't want to have, if you just don't like the idea of having raised bases at all, fair enough, you can use the washer as a base, and it's pretty simple to do. Other great thing to mention is, like we said, is you can magnetic these. If you wanted to, you could put washers on the bottom of here, because look, the washers are super cheap, dude. The washers are literally pennies per washer, right? But the magnets that we used before, for example, I mean, they're not expensive, right? You can get magnets from most, online hobby stores and everything. But I've personally found them quite difficult to get IRL. And, if you're like me, you're impatient, you want to put it all together in one day, then you might not want to wait for your magnets to come online. But either way, I can tell you now, these are still cheaper. These are still cheaper than using magnets, and all that. And, so you can actually get washers to fit underneath these bases. They're a little bit raised, but I'll show you guys. Like I said, a little bit, unscheduled this, but you can look. If you stick that on there, look, you can see that it does fit on relatively well. Though you may not want to do it. If I was doing it with Warhammer models, guys, I'll be totally honest with you, I probably wouldn't stick them on the bottom of this. I'd probably just either put a magnet on the bottom if you can find them cheap enough, or I would use these as the base and just do a little bit of grease of hell. You know what's crazy? A little bit of masking tape or duct tape over the top. That'll be enough. Once you've glued it down, put your basing material over the top, that's not going to come off at all. I can testify to that because I filled in all of my slaughter bases for my regular Mordians with little bits of tape, so it's really, really good. So there you go, guys. Slight off topic at the end there, but as you can see, works perfectly well. And now you've got a magnetic carry case that can do pretty much anything. It can do any game system whatsoever, unlike the magnetic tape, which, as I said at the beginning, is a little bit weak, and certainly it's not strong enough to hold down these things at all. Certainly not in the slightest. So there we go, boys. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you've got any ways I can improve my design, or if you've got any ways you think you can make it even more cost effective, like I said, if you do a couple of these in one go, that'll set you back about between £10 and £15 per tray, which I think is pretty reasonable. But if you've got any more cost effective ways of doing it, please let me know. Thank you, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.